Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling, and it's great to have you back on the channel again this week. This show is being recorded for Sunday, February 18th, 2024. As always, these shows are provided for entertainment purposes only. All the information I share with you comes directly real time through my guides, angels, extended spiritual counsel, ETs, famous people from history. So for entertainment purposes only. Also, if you just remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, all those things really help the channel. And if you like the channel or you like the video, that really does a lot of good for the channel and really helps the algorithm in the back end. Also, for those that need to reach me, just go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the book a session tab. Very straightforward from there. I think right now there's a couple of dates left in May, and then we have some June and July dates available for sessions. So thanks again for everybody joining the channel. Greatly appreciated. Also, just remember real quickly, we do not have a Facebook page. If anybody approaches you through Facebook, that's not us. That is a scam. Okay, so forewarned. I want to make sure everybody stays safe out there. This week, we always gather questions from the community board on our YouTube channel. We had somewhere between 450 and 500 of my questions, 500. And my wife does go through them. She tries to take a good sampling of questions that she thinks will be representative and be helpful to everybody in kind of the worldwide community. I think this week we had something like 64 questions altogether. So I'll answer those for you real time here. To start off the show, this was a week here where we had Alexei Navalny pass away. And he did come around this morning, and I was happy to speak with him. And what I've done here, I'm going to start off the show here with messages from Alexei Navalny. Just asked him if he wanted to come through and say a few words to everybody, and he was happy to do so. So I took copious notes, and I'm going to read them back for you directly here, what he wanted to share with you. So starting off the show with question 64, does Alexei Navalny have a message for us? Do not look at my exit as an end, but a new beginning and a new world understanding of what the human race is capable of. Do not look at my passing as a door closing, but a new door opening in the drive for fundamental world change in democracy, peace, love, and activism to make the world a better place. I want my life to demonstrate to everyone that you are all capable of working for the greater good of humanity, no matter where you are in life. In heaven, I assure you that no one ever is able to cheat the system, and we are all faced to confront the way we lived our lives. I will continue to assist from the other side with Mikhail Gorbachev and many world leaders to push for world peace. My work is not completed. When you think of me, celebrate my life and do not shed a tear, but raise a glass and toast to the new world that is coming for all of you. To my wife, Yulia, and my children, you will be eternally in my heart. Yulia, thank you for continuing to carry on the fight for truth and democracy on the world stage. I will see all of you in your dreams. To the world, take my life as hope and inspiration in your daily lives. I will send all of you the support and love you require to move forward in life. So wonderful message from a very inspirational leader in our lifetime, and his work is not completed. He really be helping. What I got this morning from talking with him, he really feels like he's going to be able to help a lot more from the other side now in things that are going on in the world, especially in Ukraine and across Russia. So just a wonderful, inspirational leader, and I thank him for sharing the message. Moving on in the show here, question 63. Many hearts are broken over the passing of Alexei Navalny, including mine. How will he be remembered in Russian history? Well, I think we were just talking with him. He'll be remembered as kind of the birth of a new wave of new leadership and new understanding and an awakening across the world, especially in Russia, for changing kind of the whole paradigm shift, the whole way that the world looks at the world and aggression across countries, and how to stand up for leaders that really have the worst intentions for humanity. So it'll really be he'll be an inspiring leader going forward here, and always thought of as somebody that really caused the world to go through a paradigm shift. 62. Hi, Sterling. What do the angels say about having your pet spay or neutered? And no real spiritual consequences. Remember, everything that happens in our lives is on our spiritual path, including our animals have their own life path blueprint. And so, no spiritual connotation there, but it's about how the world kind of works together. So, when animals are spayed or neutered, and then there's more space for to love animals, all these things work to the greater good. 61. Good afternoon, Sterling. Will the organization True the Vote suffer any legal consequences now that they have admitted they have no evidence of election fraud they are willing to share in court? Yeah, I get actually that a number of cases are going to push forward both in state and federal courts against this organization. So it's everything's both state and federal is what my team's telling me. But a number of legal cases are going to push forward around this. Yeah. 60, Sterling and team. Why is West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin co-sponsoring a bill to protect abortion rights? What I get on that, he's trying to stay relevant in the wake of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. For some reason, he feels like for his voter base or something here, he's trying to stay in good stead. So he feels like, the tides have turned. And if he doesn't come out and kind of take an adverse approach to the overturning of Roe v. Wade, that it's somehow going to influence his ongoing career or political future. So it's very much a political move on his part. 59, Sterling and team. I recently adopted a dog after its owner passed away. I was there right after it happened, and so was the dog. Normally, the dog would have jumped right on the bed with the woman, but she didn't this time. She just sniffed near the bed and walked out of the room. The dog does seem depressed. Does the dog understand that her owner has passed away? Yes, absolutely. All animals understand when we cross over into another dimension, when an owner passes away. They Animals feel hurt and love and loss in a lot of ways the same way that humans do. They're more highly evolved, interestingly enough. They are from the angelic realm, not angels. You hear me talk about that all the time. But yeah, they do feel loss and they work through even a grief cycle the way humans do. Very true. 58. Good day, Sterling. What do your guides say about spiritual beliefs on sacrificial animals like lambs and roosters and chickens for spiritual cleansing? Many spiritual practitioners practices, including some Orthodox Jewish religions and African religions, do this. Does this truly work, and why sacrifice animals? Well, I'm here to tell you it has no real effect on the spiritual realm. So this is a human-based practice that does not affect the spiritual realm. It's unfortunate that humanity is still locked in some archaic processes here. The way we work with the one source, the one force, our angels and guides is very much direct. It's like direct line of communication, and the sacrificing of animals is in many ways not highly spiritually evolved. My team is really being very emphatic about that. So as humanity evolves, this will become less of a needful practice. 57. Hello, Sterling. In 1974, as a 14-year-old in Northeast Oklahoma, one night my bedroom lit up. I looked out to see a saucer with lights around the top and bottom. It was kind of loud and was hovering above the pasture. The sound woke my mother, but the drapes were drawn. She thought it sounded like a semi-cattle truck, but it left before she looked out. She heard heard of a UFO sighting just north near the Kansas line that same night. Could you solve this family mystery? This was absolutely what I get. This is a Palladian mothership, and it was in the area due to some sort of a military base in the area. Now, I'm not familiar. I don't recall the geography. It was as Northeast Oklahoma, but I think right near the center of the state or something, there's actually a large military base. So there's something about that Palladian mothership in the area, traversing that area, headed towards a military base, some interaction there with the local military base. 56. I've been reading a lot about castor oil and all its healing properties. Does it really help with everything that they claim it does? That's kind of a broad question. It is very helpful, as even kind of it has a natural healing effect on the body. I wouldn't get too crazy about, throwing hundreds of ailments for humanity and saying castor oil heals it. I think it's generally even like a natural laxative, and it has some healing effects on the body. So castor oil, remember, everything used in moderation, does have, in this case, has some good effects. It does. 55. I wonder if the discovery of water and methane on Mars is evidence that Mars is healing itself after what happened to it millions of years ago. Will Mars eventually be more like Earth is right now? The answer is yes, within 1,000 years, but there'll be humans inhabiting Mars within a couple of decades here. There'll be a lot of flights back and forth. So just even within our 10 years here, and then another 20, 30 years out, we'll see Homo sapiens sapiens inhabiting Mars. But yes, Mars is generally on a path to healing. But in order for it to get back to kind of a total Earth environment, it's more like 1,000 years off. So you'll need gear, so to speak, protective gear, to be able to exist on Mars for the time being. 54. Hello, Sterling and team. Something strange happened in our field in mid-Michigan around midnight last Thursday. Our puppy woke me up to take her outside. I was on the deck and realized there was a large, bright red ball of light hanging over our field about 50 feet in the air. There was no noise. It was not moving. It was very still and silent. I felt like I was being watched as I watched it. I realized there were two more very large red lights in the trees farther away. As I watched the closest to us, it shrank and faded into nothing, but the other two were still there when we went outside and looked out the door. What were these and why were they behind our house? This is a form of what they call extraterrestrial drone that was in the area. There are several drones, a larger drone, smaller drones. They're canvassing the area, very common. And the fact you didn't hear anything is also indicates this is like an anti-gravity propulsion system. So extremely quiet, can't hear it. But these were different types of extraterrestrial drones canvassing the area. Nothing harmful. 53. What will happen now that the House voted to impeach Mayorkas? What will be the outcome? I don't see any specific outcome because it looks like it's going to get defeated in the Senate. So it's just like throwing a lot of mud at the wall. No real specific outcome, just a lot of noise, so to speak. And I know they want to get the vote through before the next new individual from New York, was it Souza, became enabled in the House. So they try to get that vote through. But it looks like nothing in the long term is going to happen. 52. Hi, Sterling and team. So many people had such high hopes for Merrick Garland. Was the fear of 45's called goons here too much for him? Well, no, I mean, what I get on that has been walking a very careful route through all of the legal cases against 45 to try to ensure that they had all the facts. It didn't look like it was, it want to make it look impartial, not partial, and make sure that they kind of really, cross the T's, dotted all the I's. So, it's been a long process. If you look at the long, arduous process, if you look at all the cases against 45, lots of detail, extraneous detail in all those cases. So I think what was the question here? That high hopes from Merrick Garland. I think you're gonna be very surprised that as you go through the next few months here, you're gonna start to see a lot of then what he's been working on and helping to drive is all going to come to light. So I would say be patient. Let the dust settle here. 51. Are we going to see Harry and Meghan return to the UK once William and Catherine are crowned to help them with royal duties in view of latest health issues? No, I don't see them permanently relocating to the UK. I see lots of visits, lots of travel to the UK, but that ship has sailed. No more permanent residence for them in the UK, even in spite of the transitions are going to be coming up here around the royal court. And we've talked about those on prior shows here, like the short term here for King Charles. 50. Hi, Sterling. What role will traditional Chinese medicine, for example, acupuncture, Chinese herbalism, and Western herbalism have in the evolution of Western medicine for the effective treatment of chronic illnesses? I always get it's going to be a complement to many traditional and non-traditional ways of treating illnesses. So what I mean by that is that right now we're going through expansive developments in CRISPR technology, gene editing technology. Over the next decade, the amazing number of new medications, vaccines released using gene editing technology. Herbalism, I've always seen, will be a complement to that to help the body heal faster, ease pain. So it'll be a complement. I never see it as a takeover necessarily, but it'll be a complement and support many of the new modern types of healing modalities and things coming up like around CRISPR. 49, why is 45 trying to get Lara Trump as co-chair of the RNC? I get he needs direct family membership and support to garner the funds he needs for all of the bills and law. Really simply put, he's going to try to garner all the funds on the RNC for his own usage to fend off a lot of the legal bills he has. So he needs that direct family connection to make that happen. 48. I notice you don't pause to receive the answers from your guides or angels after you read our questions. Do you receive answers instantaneously? Are your guides present physically while you're answering? The answer is yes to all the above. They gather in a very large group. Many times there's thousands of guides and angels, but they gather in a very large group like a conference room meeting. And as I ask the questions, it's all very real time. That's the way my gift has always worked. It's been a real time gift, which I'm thankful for, because maybe inherently I'm a little bit impatient person and kind of like to get to the meat of the situation. But yeah, there is an instantaneous flow of information. Now, I'll tell you that everybody's born with psychic mediumship ability to a greater or lesser extent. So you can develop the gift like being a good musician or a doctor. You can actually develop the gift and enhance it. And even the best, for example, even the best musicians in the world, they always practiced every day to keep that muscle memory up. So my point is that everybody can work to a point where you get real-time answers. You don't necessarily have to go into deep meditation, not required. Meditation is wonderful, but not required to talk real time with your team. So that's kind of the way my gift has always worked. 47, Sterling, for your show, you sometimes reference the Pleiadian extraterrestrials and their star system. Is there a particular star system which the Pleiadians who visit Earth reside, or do all Pleiadian stars have inhabited planets? Well, all Pleiadians start out in the Pleiadian star system, but extraterrestrials, they move around all of the star system. So it's like visiting all the states, all the regions in the universe, all the galaxies. So not confined to one star system. But that's where they started out, just like, if you look at the Arcturus star system or Sirius, very specific extraterrestrials start out in those star systems. And what was the other question here? Or do all planets have inhabited? Stars have inhabited planets. No, so not all planets and all the star systems are habitable. So that's important. It's almost like we look at our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. There's a finite number of planets that are really habitable. Some are very adverse to all forms of life, including extraterrestrial. 46, when we pass on to our new lives, do we ever think about or reflect on or miss our loved ones that are left behind? So it's interesting. When you pass on, you actually start a brand new life, and you stand in a very comprehensive love dimension. Loss is very much a human trait. Now, when we cross over, you certainly love your family and you love everybody that's in your unique soul family. But you actually, in a way, you kind of bless them to go on their way to continue learning lessons down here on Earth. So I always find that individuals on the other side, they don't spend a lot of time in loss or missing. They can see you, right? So it's interesting. They understand what's going on with you. They can see what's going on. They understand they're starting a brand new life on the other side. So it's kind of like having a different frame of reference when you're on the other side. I know when people say, do loved ones miss us from the other side? That's very much looking at it from an earthbound perspective, not a heaven perspective. 45, hi Sterling and team. When our loved ones cross over, how should we address them when calling them up? Do we call them by their full birth name? Well, it's interesting. Telepathic communications work across the transit, across every dimension. When you're even thinking of your loved ones, say you're thinking of your mother knows it. You don't have to, sometimes people refer to mom or mother, mum, or if the first name is, Karen or Barbara. But when you just think about, for example, a loved one of your mother, they know that telepathically, they come around instantaneously. So believe me, it does not matter what name you call them or don't call them. It's the real thought process, the intention behind it that brings them around almost right away. Okay, 44 in the countdown. Sterling, what is it like for you to have access to infinite knowledge? Do you get overwhelmed or obsessed with all this information? The simple answer is for a lot of people, I use the gift as necessary. It's like, one of the first things, the aim of this psychic mediumship work, you really have to learn how to turn the gift on and off. If you leave it on all the time, it's very enervating. I mean, you'll be exhausted. So it's almost like, making a phone call. You actually, use the information as appropriate. I find that I do so much work in sessions and things like this and shows we do here that in a lot of everyday life, I'm not thinking about it. I don't always use it all the time. We're all human. So, um, we all have to go through human-based life lessons. Nobody gets a free pass. Even if you're doing this kind of work, you don't get a free pass and don't have to go through life lessons. So it's really all about striking a balance in life and learning how to turn the gift on and off. I think every qualified psychic medium will tell you that one of the first most important skills, when you open yourself up to the universe and a lot of guides and angels, entities, you have to learn how to turn the gift on and off. Otherwise, the gift will control you. So it's important to control the gift, not allow the gift to control you. 43, what exactly is luck? Does it have anything to do with the person's life path? Luck is really simply a term of the actions you take in life that connect what you're manifesting with your life path. So when you manifest, that's intention, that's doing the right things in life, that's focusing. And so when you're manifesting, you're really putting that energy, that intention towards what you want to accomplish. And that does meet up with your life path blueprint. So we're all down here to accomplish a very large range of lessons, and intention behind manifesting then couples that. And so some people call that luck. It's like, if you're trying to manifest, for example, meeting the perfect new boss, and then you meet him accidentally. Let's say there are no accidents in the universe, but you meet him like in the checkout line at the supermarket. Somebody might say, well, that was real luck. Well, actually, when you're manifesting clearly, that's your guides and angels working behind the scenes to help you achieve that result. So really, luck is the kind of way manifesting meets your life path and your intention. 42, Sterling, what do your guides say about the biblical account of the mark of the beast? Well, this is mythical. This is created. I think this comes out of the Bible, and this has a lot to do with the way humanity interacted with the Bible, with biblical text. It's not a real indication of a demon or a devil or anything of that nature. It's all mythical element within biblical text. So the myths tend to go on and on and on in time, but there's really no such thing. So. 41, do we have the same personality on Earth and the other side? Some spirits that have come through mediums have a funny sense of humor. I find nearly all guides and angels have a really good sense of humor. Remember, humor and laughter, that's all part of the love dimension, right? That doesn't exist in the fear dimension. So it's interesting. A lot of my guides and angels and team that I work with have a great sense of humor. And in fact, when I'm talking with my wife, Linda, and she's interacting with my team as well, really have a great sense of humor about it and really tell jokes. It's kind of funny. But humor and laughter is all part of the love dimension. 40, High Sterling, was Billy the Kid killed by Pat Garrett when he was 22 years old, as recorded in history, or did he live on to die an old man at the age of 91? Yes, I get Billy the Kid was killed or murdered by Pat Garrett. And I'm also getting that there's a lot of elements in history that back that up. I've never researched this, but I don't even know if there's even a reward paid out. And but it looks like there's a lot of elements in history that back that up. So I'm not seeing that was it Billy the Kid lived a long life to the age of 91. I know he was killed. 39, when we transcend to the next life, why is it different for everyone? Is it part of the transcending from Earth to the spirit due to what we have learned on Earth. Let me divide this answer into two different sections here, because I don't know if this person is talking about near-death experience (NDEs) or the actual transition to heaven for a full death experience, where you're actually moving on to the next dimension, permanently or semi-permanently. For an NDE experience, people have different levels of understanding or experience depending on how far they get into the near-death experience. So whether they just start the transition process, or whether, let's say, it's the NDE process is induced by narcotics or drugs, that can tilt kind of your perception of how you're going through the NDE experience. If you get far enough along, you meet your birth angels, you'll see family members. If it's really a near-death experience, a lot of times your family members will have their back to you, which shows you it's not your time, you have to go back. If we're talking about the full death experience, that's very similar for a lot of people. You do go through a very large corridor of light. You do feel tremendous love immediately. You do meet your birth angels. They start guiding you, introducing you to the other side. You start to see family members, pets, animals, best friends, people you've known in life. You eventually get to a point where you start life review, and that goes in cycles. But if it's the full death experience, very somewhat similar for everybody. If it's an NDE experience, I've seen some fluctuations there depending on how far you get through the experience. 38. Hello, Sterling. I viewed a YouTube video of a man who had a near-death experience, NDE, and God showed him Lucifer and the war in heaven. Is there a Lucifer? Was there a war in heaven? No, this is not a real depiction of what happens. There is no devil. There's no Lucifer. There are fallen angels. Again, a lot of this comes out of humanity and the intersection with various types of religions around the world. But my team's always very adamant of the fact there is no Lucifer. There's no demon. So this person was having a near-death experience, and here again, this is kind of almost parlays from the last question we were just talking about, is that depending on how far you get into the NDE experience, that can create different experiences for everybody. By the way, there's no, my team's reminding me, there's no Satan, demon, Lucifer, kind of whatever name you want to use. They don't exist. That's kind of, a lot of it links back to Christianity. 37, Sterling Linden team. I hung a picture frame with my mother's photo in it over 27 years ago on my wall. Last night, I heard a sound, got up to see what fell, and it was the picture frame. I looked at the time, and it was 10:10 p.m. Several minutes later, I received a call saying my sister had just passed away. Why did the frame fall over? This is a message from your loved ones. It's a mother energy. It's your mother or grandmother, but it's a message from the other side, just letting you know that your sister had passed. We've received her. It's actually meant to be a reinforcement that the other side is ready to accept your loved ones, that, the transition's happening. And I see this happen a lot. It's interesting how many family members on the other side will interact with pictures. I see this all the time. They'll tip over pictures. Let's say you've had a spouse pass away. They'll tip the picture over on the mantle of you and your spouse, or a picture will drop of you in some other vacation scene. But they do try to interact with you in a way that you can somehow construct, oh, this is somehow coming from my loved one, because why would they knock over the picture of my spouse and I as opposed to a picture of, the Grand Canyon? So 36, Wisconsin appears set to finally receive fair voting maps after 13 years of extreme Republican gerrymandering. Can you comment on Wisconsin's political future? I don't see it largely becoming real Democratic for like another 5 or 6 years. So you got a little bit of a run to go here. It's not going to be overnight. Looks kind of difficult in terms of the damage some of the gerrymandering did. I know that they're redoing the districts here, but my team's saying good 5, 6 years here before it really starts to feel much more Democratic around statewide elections. 35. Hello, Sterling and team. My question is, do dogs know when they are sick? My dog has heart issues and he coughs, but he still has good energy. Yes, all animals know when they're facing health challenges, and they look for you for support. That is actually part of our responsibility. But they do know when they're not feeling well. Absolutely. So in that respect, animals have a very earthbound feeling. And remember, animals are here to teach us lessons. So sometimes there's something about what's going on with the animal you're supposed to learn about. Maybe then you're helping other people with the same health artifact that your pet has. But they absolutely know when they're sick and when they need help. 34 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling and team. Will President Biden do any more about limiting college loans once he's reelected? Yeah, I see a new wave of loan forgiveness in the year 2025. So it's going to be out into 2025, mid to late. There may be some minor loan forgiveness at the beginning of 2025, but I see a big wave of loan forgiveness. But as you get out into kind of later 2025. 33. Hi, Sterling. Connecticut recently announced medical debt forgiveness rolling out this year. Do you see the U.S. doing some form of medical debt forgiveness, and if so, when? This does not look like it's going to roll out across the entire United States until more like 2026. So we got a little ways to go, but looks like there'll be a wave. And this is only when the new corporate tax structures get in place across the government. So you're looking at, corporate minimum tax rates of 15%. That's 15%. Getting new revenue into the coffers. So it looks like a wave of medical debt forgiveness, but to me, they're telling me it's more like 2026. 32. Thank you, Sterling and team, for answering our questions. Will there be a cure for Alzheimer's and all other types of dementia in the next few years? Yes, this is already being worked on right now with CRISPR technology. So for those that are interested, you can actually Google CRISPR and any ailment you're looking at, like Alzheimer's. I happen to know I've read on this months and months ago that there are actually some initial tests going on right now using gene editing technology and Alzheimer's. Within 5 years, there's going to be some medications here that are really going to start to be quite dramatically good for Alzheimer's. What's going on with a lot of companies that are working on CRISPR gene editing technology, they're taking some of the lowest hanging fruit, so to speak. So different forms of cancer, breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, some forms of lung cancer, and then looking at things like Alzheimer's, different neurological problems. So they're going after some of the lowest hanging fruit that will help many of the masses in the public. And then as you get down the road here, another, say 10 years, you'll start to see many, many more medications come online that are CRISPR based for all sorts of human ailments. But it's coming. Alzheimer's is actually really, they're making some progress right now. So within 5 years, what they're saying here. 31. Hi, Sterling and team. Will we see or remember all of our past lives when we pass on from this lifetime? Yes, you can go back and look at all of your past lifetimes and even some of the future lifetimes, interestingly enough. It's like going to a movie theater, and you can kind of go from cinema to cinema. It's interesting, if you want a good chuckle, a good laugh, take a look at the movie with Meryl Streep was in, which was Defending Your Life. It's got some interesting ways when they pass Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep. It's kind of a funny, nuanced way of looking at past lives. But it's interesting that movie was channeled, and there's a lot of truth in that movie. 30. Can you and your team explain soul creation? All souls were created at the same time. So this happened before planets were created. Does this mean we are light beings who only take on physicality of the planet we incarnate on? In a sense, yeah, all souls were created at the same time. One force, one source did that. One source, one force is infinite, no beginning, no end. A lot of these solar systems were created at the same time. A lot of the galaxies, the entire universe, all created at the same time. So yeah, as our souls go from lifetime to lifetime, we incarnate into basic physical structures. Some people like to call it a meat suit, but we incarnate into various physical structures. And actually, you can do that even in other planets, other galaxies. When you cross over, it's all up to you where you want to go. But actually, and when you cross over, my team just remind to tell you, many times people take on the persona of what you look like here on Earth. So it makes them feel more comfortable. So many times when I look at the other side, people look very similar to the way they did here on Earth, maybe 20 years younger, something like that. They try to spruce up their look a little bit. And here again, I'll make another movie reference because people are very visual. Take a look at the Robin Williams film, What Dreams May Come. I think we get some nice insights there. 29. Hello, Sterling, Linda, and team. That's Linda, my wife. I recently saw a video describing how the four different blood types indicate our ancient starseed and ET origins. For example, type A, blood supposedly has ties to Palladians, and type B, ties to the Sirius star system. Is any of this true? No, not really. Actually, all blood types evolved over millions of years for a variety of different reasons, extraterrestrial visitations, but they don't tie to any particular extraterrestrial species. No, they all evolved over time through millions of years. 28. Hello, Sterling and team. I know someone who says he has a gift and is able to hear in his mind what others say or think about him. On a few occasions, I found out he was right about what someone may have said about him. Could he really have this kind of gift? Is it possible to read the thoughts of others to some degree? Well, you're talking about what's telepathic communication, and everybody's capable of telepathic communication. It does take some skill. When you develop the psychic mediumship gift, that's a form of telepathic communication. It actually all works through what's called the imagination channel, the creative channel in the brain. Much the same way that individuals get thoughts when they're writing a song or writing a book. Now, in terms of the individual you're talking about here, my team is telling me that your particular friend does not have telepathic communication, but he's actually reading body language, which is kind of interesting. So there are people that are good at reading body language, but I think he's putting something over on people. He doesn't have quite the telepathic gift built out. 27. Hello, Sterling and team. In 2010, my daughter and I took our dog for a hike into the northwest area of New Jersey. We walked about a mile when we stopped on a bridge crossing a small stream. We suddenly became aware that something was wrong. All noise of any kind had disappeared. Birds that had been eating wild blueberries and squirrels that had been in the area were gone. It was dead quiet. We turned around, ran back to our car, and left the area. We later discovered that all photos that were taken of the area had come out foggy. What did we stumble into? This was what they call a magnetic energy center on Earth. There are actually hundreds of magnetic energy centers on Earth. Magnetic energy centers tend to be swirling energy, and at the center is what they call a vortex. So it's not a portal, but it's a magnetic energy center. There are many. There are huge ones in the Bermuda Triangle, other areas of the world, and there are smaller ones. You walk through what's called the magnetic energy center. Yeah, they can be a little scary if you're not used to it. That's very true. My teams remind me there are thousands on Earth. I was saying there are hundreds. They're saying it's actually thousands on Earth. 26. Hello to everyone. I heard an astrologer say that she saw the U.S. would divide into four separate autonomous regions held together by a federal government in about 30 years. What do your guides say? No, no, this will not happen. My team's pretty emphatic about that. But the U.S., along with a lot of other countries, are going to join what's called a galactic federation. There's already like a governmental process set up in the universe among a lot of extraterrestrials called the Galactic Federation, something they call the Star Federation. But I do see many countries, including the U.S., starting to belong to Galactic Federation. But my team does not see this for the U.S. splitting up as anything. The U.S. will actually be joined even more closely as they join these other star federations. 25. I have a question about dinosaurs. There is no one in the spiritual community that has addressed them. What is their spiritual significance, and did extraterrestrial race or the one source, one force create them specifically? Well, yes. I mean, dinosaurs were created in a way to help the ecosystem of Earth. So, if you think about everything that's come down to Earth has some sort of an impact, good or bad, on Earth. Whether that's decaying composition, let's say of dinosaurs helping create oil fields or helping to expand vegetation. They had a role to play in the life path of the Earth. One source, one force put them down here. They were taken out by a massive meteor that really was devastating to the planet. But yeah, everybody serves a purpose. So when we actually talk about dinosaurs all the time, they serve a very important purpose on the life path of Earth. 24. Sterling, please ask your team. In New York, there is an end of life options bill granting permission to end lives legally. Fears are it will encompass elderly, infirmed, and the disabled? Will this occur, and how detrimental will it be? Well, I see my team saying I think this bill has already been in California. It may exist already in California, and it looks to me like there's going to be a lot of discernment around this. So having to coordinate with a number of medical doctors and physicians. So this won't be a random decision. In New York, it looks like the bill is going to move forward. I think that's a question here too. The end of life options bill in New York. It looks to me like it's going to move forward. If over the next number of months, so maybe some arbitration going on around the bill and a debate, but it looks like it's going to move forward. And I'm also getting California may have something already very similar right now. So not to worry. That's what my team's saying. As we get out decades and decades out here on Earth, this will be something that will be viewed quite differently. So it'll be an option that some people will definitely and joyfully want to exert. So it's not. I don't see abuse in this area. 23, hi Sterling and team. I am the only one next to loved ones when they pass, including both of my brothers, my mother, and a very dear friend. I feel they wait for me to be next to them, and then I must let everyone know, why do they choose me? We talk about this a lot, but this is all part of your path, is what they call a teacher and a healer. So, not uncommon for when you're a teacher healer, that means people learn from you, and the healer component means they feel better by interacting with you. So it's all part of your life path. I think it's wonderful. In some respects, it may feel like a burden, but it's wonderful that people feel the need for you to almost chaperone them to the other side. So you're kind of blessed in this area. Ask for your guides and angels for help whenever you're doing these things, but it's all part of your life path. And certainly as a teacher healer, you signed up for this, and it looks like you're doing a great job. 22, hello, Sterling. My question is this: as a lover of food, can we experience it on the other side? Yes, all human experiences can be replicated on the other side. Absolutely. Now, you don't have the same human artifacts. So if you eat tons of calories, you don't gain the weight. But, seriously, a lot of human experiences like skydiving, race car driving, eating, they can all be replicated on the other side. If you think it, you can create it. So thought creates reality on the other side. It does here on Earth too, but thought creates reality in the heaven dimension almost instantaneously. The CDC has just dropped the 5-day COVID isolation guidelines for people who test positive. How far away are we from a vaccine that will prevent people from getting COVID in the first place, rather than the current type of vaccine, which only reduces its severity? We're not going to have a vaccine that will, let's say, prevent all COVID variants for at least another decade. The reason for that is that the virus is mutating at a much faster rate than can be predicted right now with current medical technology. So my team's talked about this before. We're going to have ongoing kind of vaccines, almost like flu shots year to year. My team had said that, this was one of the years here, we're moving from a pandemic to an endemic, but the endemic means there'll be kind of ongoing maintenance. So got another decade here before, again, here, gene editing technology will be able to get completely on top of the COVID mutation. 20. In Hawaii, they have released mosquitoes infected with specific bacteria. It is supposed to help the native bird population. Do you see any harmful effects to people of the release of these millions of infected mosquitoes? Will the mosquitoes help the bird population? I'm getting yes. So it's like a finite number of birds. So that means that maybe 4 different bird species or something will be helped by this. I have no idea how many bird species are in Hawaii, but it looks like a good 4, 5 bird species will be helped. It looks like it'll be meaningful help here for these species. And I don't see any big long-term effects on the mosquitoes or the population. In fact, what I'm getting is it looks like these mosquitoes are not able to replicate. So they do something with them genetically, so they can't create offspring. But it looks like overall, a good solid 4 different rare species of birds in Hawaii are going to get help with this. 19, I've read that various groups of people have been born as star seeds coming from various star systems to help with raising consciousness. Is there such a thing as Blu-ray children, indigo children, crystal children, rainbow children, etc., etc.? So nothing overly special here. So these are all terms for different types of children coming at different times. Now, all of these terms that whoever's asking the question, these are all older souls. Older souls mean you've reincarnated many more times here on Earth. So think about these terms as almost like we refer to children like Gen X, Gen Z, that kind of a thing. I know some people think about like indigo children or something as something incredibly, important. There's a lot of very old souls coming down to Earth right now to help. They've all agreed to help during this time period. But these are really just all categories of older soul children coming down to Earth. And there are many older souls on the planet right now. So think about it as like Gen X, Gen Z. Yes, they're all down here to help. I say Gen X or Gen Z, but a lot of the we're just talking about here, rainbow children, crystal children, indigo children. Yeah. 18. Hello, Sterling and team. I know I keep asking about the cryptocurrency and the great wealth transfer, but I'm concerned about the economy collapsing by December of this year, and I'm just trying to find a way to prepare for the worst before it happens. So I don't get my team no significant crash in the US or the world economy by the end of this year, end of 2024. There's going to be a number of course corrections with some cryptocurrency. Not going to get into a lot of detail here, but the economy is not going to crash. No, there are the cycles. We're going to go through more cycles. Um, and by the way, it looks like a lot of digital currency, it's going to take a couple of decades, let's say a lot of the cryptocurrencies to kind of stabilize, really stabilize. So no big crash in the economy, if that's what this person's asking about. Whatever, I don't know where the prediction's coming from, but a lot of course corrections, but overall, fairly healthy economy overall. 17, greetings, Sterling and team. Years ago, while living in New York City, I came across a musician in the subway. I felt drawn to stop for a moment and give him money. When I placed the money in the container, I could hear him thank me and bestow blessings on me without talking. I also felt his energy was different from other humans. I thought he was an angel. Is this true? Did I come in contact with an earth angel? Yes, this is what's called an earth angel. These are highly evolved souls that move around almost like they're on call. Think about like paramedics on call. And they may station themselves anywhere in life, from the subway station or a street corner, but they're there serving a purpose. And that was telepathic communication you received. So that was in a way kind of bless your day, give you a little insight to what an earth angel is all about. Yes, you experienced an earth angel. 16, Sterling, I'm so thankful to hear about CRISPR technology, the ability to help us in so many ways. Will there be life extending technology for our pets and animals? Yes, this is all being worked on right now, but a lot of it will be deployed after a lot of the vaccines and medications are deployed for human beings. And then you're going to see a big wave of medications, gene editing based medications coming for animals. Absolutely. Cats, dogs, horses, cows, birds, even fish. Just tell me fish. It's interesting. Sea life. Yeah, absolutely. 15, hello, Sterling. Did the RFK Jr. ad that aired during the Super Bowl kill any chances of him to be president ever? Well, it's interesting. In the end analysis, my team has said he never really has any kind of a chance of ever being president. So to say he killed the chance, from an Akashic record standpoint, never had a chance or never will be president. So not sure it had any big effect because it looks like it's never on his path anyway. 14, he did, my team saying he dug a bigger hole for himself, so that wasn't helpful. But it's not on his life path to ever be president. 14, hi Sterling and team. What effect will the solar eclipse have on the people that live in the line of its totality? So I'm assuming people, talk about people that are going to go witness it in line with the solar eclipse. Solar eclipses happen all the time on the planet, right? In some regularity and cycles. It can cause a shifting of energy, but people, I think, read too much into the solar eclipse. A lot of times they can signify kind of a restart in a cycle. My team saying that, don't look so much for the actual event, but kind of the way people view the event. So if they get together in larger groups, they feel more spiritually connected. There's a lovingness. It's almost like an energetic bounce that occurs when that event takes place. So it's almost like a sign from the universe. But to say that that energetically, just that event is causing major changes for people that are in its, what they say, in line with its totality, people in line with its totality. No, it's really more like the human experience that's around it that's more important, more of an effect. 13, hello, Sterling and team. When I talk to myself and a voice answers, is that my voice or my spirit guide's voice? Well, you can only determine this through practice. So I always tell people, like anything, it's, practice makes perfect. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. What that means is that you really have to, it's trust through validation. So as you work the gift, there's all kinds of homework you can do in these areas. We've talked about in these shows before. But when you work the gift and you start receiving information, when you can validate that information, something you wouldn't have known, that is how you start to understand it's your guides and angels talking with you. So, for example, these are a random example. You get a thought one day, I need to go to the local supermarket at 2 o'clock the next afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You go, well, that's kind of odd, but I'll do it anyway because I need to pick up some milk. And you're in the supermarket and you see somebody like a childhood friend you hadn't seen in 20 years. That you start to know, okay, well, then I could have made that up. Somebody was trying to tell me that. So it's trust through validation. You have to work the gift. 12, hello, Sterling and team. What is the point of asking your guides and angels for help when it comes to loved one's health? Whether it's a person or an animal, it feels like a betrayal when loved ones are on their final exit points anyway, making the help you ask for meaningless. Well, faith and prayer is an important part of energetically helping us and helping those around us. It's true that you don't change somebody's life path, but the help, the love you give them, the love you give yourself, prayer, and the love you give other people around you, say animals that are sick, family members, that blesses them on their journey. So it is helpful. I think whoever asked the question, maybe you're misreading the purpose sometimes of prayer. For prayer, you want the most loving outcome for that individual. You want them to go on their way in a prosperous and beneficial way. Prayers are not about, I need to change somebody's life path. I need to change what lessons they're going through. So a prayer always provides energetically the love, the blessing, the support, the push that they need from the universe. And if it's meant to be, obviously, on their path, they'll stay. If it's not, they will pass on. That doesn't mean there's not blessings left behind. So I know it's a larger topic. I can talk about it on some other shows. But the point of prayer is not that if you don't change somebody's life path, then the prayer was no good. You've still helped them on their journey in either way. 11, I was divorced in the 70s. I did not want the divorce. So when I came out of the courtroom, I sat on the bench crying. A man came up and talked quietly to me and told me everything would be okay. He was dressed in all beige, and even his hair looked beige. When he walked away, he said, God bless you. I looked at the woman behind the counter a few feet away and asked her if she knew the man who had just talked to me. She looked at me kind of funny and said she hadn't seen any man. I also wondered if it was my guardian angel. Who was that? This is actually one of your two birth angels coming around you, working through what's called an earth angel. So they felt you needed the support. Birth angels don't always come down to the planet unless your life is in danger. In this case, these are like birth angels working through an earth angel to get that message across to you. They felt that was the best way to do it. By the way, birth angels, as I was mentioning, they do come down to the planet if they need to save your life directly. So, for example, if you're in a major car accident and you could die, they may be the third paramedic that shows up to an accident scene. When only two paramedics are really there, the third paramedic saves your life, is gone before they know it. The other two paramedics wonder who that paramedic was. It's one of your birth angels. So, but in this case, they interacted with an earth angel. 10, Sterling. I'm in Colorado's 4th district, the one Lauren Boebert just moved to. Will she win the primary or the actual election? No, I don't see her winning the actual election. I see her with a lot of momentum, but, in some ways, it's kind of like crashes and burns at the last minute, meaning, figuratively speaking, does not make it It does not become the winner of the election. A lot of momentum and then crashes and burns, like right at the very end. Does not look like she makes it to the final election. That is, does not win the final election. 9. Will Judge Aileen Cannon be removed from the classified documents case, and will the case ever go to trial? Yes, I see it going to trial, and it looks like we've only got maybe another month or two here before it looks like she's removed via some efforts from the federal government due to not handling the case properly. We read on this a few times. It looks like we've only got another month or two to go here. Looks like the case will move forward. There's something they're telling me now she's going to probably drag it out, but she will actually not be on the case long term. So she'll actually will be removed. 8. Thank you, Sterling and team, for your vast insights. I had a very close friend who received a pancreatic cancer diagnosis and decided they did not want their life to end in pain, so they committed suicide. Are people that do that treated differently on the other side? First off, you never get off the planet if it's not your exit point. I know suicide is a very troubling topic. I've seen cases, for example, where people try to commit suicide 5 different times, got saved every time. You get turned around if it's not your time. There is a longer, more extensive life review process. When you commit suicide, you always have to kind of evaluate what you did, how you work through life, the difficulties, the learning lessons. I would say you're treated differently on the other side. Might be a little bit more extensive life review, but for some reason, that's neither here nor there, because longer life reviews are sometimes more beneficial. You'll learn more as you go through that process. It's almost like more years of school. So, in a sense, you don't get off the planet unless it's your time. If you do make it across and it is your time, a little bit more of an extensive life review. 7. Sterling, I'm wondering if you have trouble when you meet or are amongst people and get bombarded with psychic impressions or messages from their guides or loved ones. Are you able to shut it out, only receive info when you want it? Do you ever feel compelled to give an insight to a stranger? Well, we talked about this earlier. You always have to learn how to turn it on and off. So I could say I've gotten quite good at that over the years. I'll turn the gift on and off. Sometimes that frustrates my wife when she wants me to turn the gift on, and I say, "Nope, not going to turn it on right now. We're having dinner." But yeah, there are times when I do receive messages. If something important has to be relayed to somebody, I will find a way to let them know about it. But remember, leaving the gift on all the time consumes a great deal of energy. If anybody doing this work tells you they're completely invigorated and energized when they're doing psychic mediumship work, I think it's important, because you don't really get energized. It consumes a lot of energy when you're doing it. You get very, very tired. So you do have to turn it on and off. I turn it on when necessary. And if there's an important message to relay to somebody, I will find a way to relay it to them. Funny enough, sometimes I'll relay the message to my wife, Linda, and then she'll relay it in a way that, maybe be less threatening to the person. The person will receive it in a way that, goes over really well. 6, Sterling and team. My question is, on the other side, is there romantic love? Do we remain with our partners from the most recent lifetime, or are we focus on just loving family members and the one source? Well, when you go to the other side, you are reconnected with your larger, unique soul family, thousands of members. That includes people you had immediate lifetimes with, brothers, sisters, siblings, spouses, loved ones. Yeah, there's romantic love on the other side. It's a lot of free will on the other side. So everybody decides who they want to spend time with, how they want to grow on the other side, what the next lifetime will be. A lot of free will. So there's never any hard and fast rules to how that's handled. Everybody's uniquely different because of free will. And it's just kind of the same way it works here on Earth. But you do certainly meet up with your spouses from the other side if they're continuing things that you wanted to go through. And this includes boyfriends and girlfriends and best friends. You absolutely can spend a lot of time with those individuals. 5, Sterling and team. My question is, does each extraterrestrial species or galactic being have its own healing modality? Like, do Pleiadians use sound healing and the Greys use Reiki? Energetic healing and advances in many types of healing modalities are available to all the extraterrestrials. There's actually some technology behind some of the healing mechanisms. They actually use what I call rare earth metals. So it's almost like a lot of extraterrestrials having access to many different types of medical devices. So not just energetic healing, but actually technologically advanced medical devices to help with healing. So and they're available to everybody. So it doesn't uniquely pigeonhole with one ET species or the other. They actually have access to all of it. Four, hello, Sterling. Is every member of your physical family in this lifetime also part of your spiritual family? Does everyone who dies have access to the Akashic records? Kind of two questions there. Uh, from my team's perspective, they always tell me everybody you're in life with right now most certainly is usually part of your extended spiritual soul family. So that includes spouses, siblings, step parents, step children, adopted children, sometimes bosses. A lot of people you're directly connected with are usually part of your unique soul family. So you get on the other side, a lot of times, you see that, you find out that that's true because everybody comes down here to play a role mutually. Remember, every life path is interconnected. Now, as far as the Akashic records go, yes. When you get to the other side, it's very easy for everybody to access the Akashic records. You don't always get access to everybody's Akashic records, certainly yours, but some of it's kept private, in terms of other people, maybe life lessons that they went through that are not appropriate for you. So you don't get access to the entire Akashic record. So for yourself, family members, but by and large, most people, when they look at their lifetimes, both past and present and future, that's usually most of what they're concerned about. It's not like the National Enquirer up in heaven. You want to find out about every famous person. So it doesn't work that way. Three in the countdown. My DNA results state I am 99.9% Northern European. Does that also mean that I am reincarnated from this area too? Are past lives defined by our DNA? No, I find there's no direct correlation, believe it or not, between physical DNA and what I call spiritual DNA. Spiritual DNA contains all the life lessons you learn through every reincarnation. So you could have been in Europe one lifetime, in Asia another one, Australia another one. So physical DNA does not correlate to spiritual DNA. There's some human factors that cause families to track. Remember, even when you reincarnate, you don't always reincarnate maybe in the same direct family, the same immediate family. And I've seen a lot of people tend to come back on order of 80 to 100 years in terms of Earth cycles. Some people come back faster, maybe 20, 30, or 40 years. Depends on the family. A lot of people that pass in mass, like major catastrophes like the Holocaust, they'll come back as a group much faster, even within a year or 2 years. But anyway, spiritual DNA, all the life lessons and everything you'll learn wherever you reincarnated does not track with physical DNA. No. And number two and number one in the countdown. I always take notes before we start the show. I'll share those with you. Do you see anything coming up this week? New legal case, trial starts, information, and new court challenges for 45 due to election interference, document searches, New York City fraud, Stormy Daniels trial. It's going to start March 25th. But it looks like there's a whole wealth of information now being released around all of the cases and a negotiation around all the start dates and how this is all going to kind of get interweaved like a large cloth getting weaved. New earthquakes in the Midwest and the West Coast of the US coming up, and also one coming up in Asia. Looks like there's another Asia earthquake coming up here. Yeah, I mean, it looked like it might be around Japan to me. This could be off the coast, but then affecting Japan here. And it's always difficult to see these. My team saying there's another Asia-based quake coming up here. Also, fires in Russia. I don't know what this is all about. Maybe this is due to a lot of the artillery, but like fires in Russia that are hard to put out. And then also agreements being deliberated here. We're going to see this almost in the back end around aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. I know they all took a 2-week hiatus or vacation, but it looks to me like there's some background negotiations going to be going on here to try to get this all taken care of kind of as fast as possible. So my team's saying back room, back end, some of them are on vacation, but looks like they're still going to try to negotiate. I do see the aid still coming through eventually here in a few weeks for Ukraine, for Taiwan, for Israel, etc. And number one in the countdown, do you have anything your guides want to share? Start some simple manifesting techniques by telling yourself that every difficult life situation you have will have a perfect outcome for everyone involved, no matter what it is. And start to see how this starts to incrementally change your outlook on life and even create a better feeling of wellness overall. So kind of important, kind of parlays and some of the manifesting things we were talking about, the topics on manifesting for this show. So that concludes the show we're recording here today for Sunday, February 18, 2024. As always, if you need to reach me, go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the book a session tab. Again, I know there's a lot of available dates in June and July, and maybe some, maybe a couple in May. I'm not sure. We'll have to check the calendar, but it's all available online. I will be doing a show with Linda G, the Comanche Psychic, next weekend. I think that's February 25th. You can look for that on Linda G's channel. And then for the interim period, I'm going to send out a lot of goodwill and tremendous love to you and your families. Take care. I'll see you all again very soon.